Hello, my name is Subhash, and in this video I'm going to teach you a typical approach for biosecurity risk assessment. This video will be useful to the students, academicians, project managers and anyone who is interested in learning more about biorisk management. This biorisk management covers both biosafety and biosecurity. So the biosafety risk assessment and biosecurity risk assessment should be done separately. So the main purpose of this video is to highlight what are the steps involved in biosecurity risk assessment. So this one will serve as a reference, as a guideline when you are doing the biosecurity risk assessment. There are many different types of the approaches and methodologies, but the principle remains the same. Okay, so when you are doing the risk assessment, the main aim of the risk assessment is a better understanding of the risks those are present in the facility or in your laboratory. And this understanding of the risk is very essential in order to come up with the control measures to mitigate the risk. Okay, so as far as the biosecurity risk assessment is concerned, you need to bear in mind the main objective of the biosecurity risk assessment. Because biosecurity, the ultimate purpose is different from biosafety. So the ultimate aim of the biosecurity is to prevent the loss, to prevent the misuse, and to prevent the theft of the biological agents, means microorganisms, fungal or bacterial or viral strains which you have. Maybe they are pathogenic to the plants or animals or humans. Depends on what type of research you are doing. So the ultimate aim of the biosecurity is to prevent the loss, theft and misuse of these biological agents or any biological material or research related sensitive information. And this one can be accomplished if you have, for example, if you have policies in place, if you have all the procedures well designed and well optimized, then tracking inventory system you have in place, then you have control measures like limiting and monitoring the access. Only the authorized people are going in that laboratory and no one else is allowed there. Then at the same time, the measures which you are taking for the biosafety risk mitigation, that one can complement the biosecurity also, as there are some elements common in biosafety and biosecurity. Okay, so this biosecurity risk assessment can be done by following these 5 steps. The first step is the identifying, second step is assessing, third step is analyzing, fourth step is designing and developing, and fifth step is the evaluating. So what you can do in these steps, I'm just highlighting essence of these steps. However, you can consider the broader view, and 360-degree analysis should be done when you are making a decision. So step number 1, identifying. So in this case, in this step, what you have to identify? You will identify what are the assets in your laboratory or in your facility. Assets, I'm referring to the biological agents, their derivatives, their and toxins. So biological agents can be replicated even though you have a tiny amount. So you can inoculate and you can multiply. But in case of the toxin, it's a non-replicative. Okay, so find out what types of assets you have in the laboratory. So these assets can be anything which could be target of the person who have the bad intention. So that person can target these assets and can misuse it. I think a popular example of the anthrax, So even though spores of the anthrax or fungal spores or bacterial culture or viral culture, when anybody is having access and if it's not monitored and controlled, can be misused. Possibility is always there. So keep in mind, risk will be never ever zero. Always there will be a risk, but it should be acceptable. The level of the risk should be acceptable to the management and the team who is managing the biorisk management program. So once you identify the assets, then you have to identify the potential threats. So threats can be from within the organization, surrounding community or surrounding situation. So those are part of the organization. That one is called as insider threat, and those are not part of the organization or outside. So that one is called as threat from the outside. So identify the potential threats. Then after that one, have a look at the inventory. What is missing from the inventory list? Maybe any biological agents or toxins or their derivatives. In case if something is missing from the inventory, you should identify that one, and you should prioritize the assets based on the potential of the misuse and based on the potential consequences. So based on that one, you should prioritize the assets. So once this step is complete, then you can go for the second step, which is assess or assessing. So what you should assess here? So you should assess the potential threats here, and you can ask the fundamental questions: how likely it is to happen, and in case if it happens, what are the consequences? So you can assess the potential threats, and at the same time, you can assess the potential vulnerabilities. Okay, or what are the weaknesses in the system, in your system, or what are the gaps in your system, or what is vulnerable situation in your system or in your laboratory or facility. Once this one is done, then you can analyze. So what you have to analyze? So by considering this whole picture, you can also analyze the risk of specific scenarios. For example, your labs may be open from 8 to 5 p.m. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So after that one, what happens after office hours or during weekends or during public holidays? So that type, I'm just giving an example, but that type of the risk of specific scenarios also you can consider, because this your biosecurity risk management program should work 24/7, because you cannot ignore the biosecurity, because anything happens, people can be at risk, environment can be at risk, and there can be a big disaster. We have seen many examples in the history. So your biosecurity program should work 24/7. Okay. So then once you do this analysis, so by considering all this data which you have in first step, second step, third step, so then after that one, based on this holistic picture, you can design and develop your overall biosecurity risk management program. And for this purpose, you need to consider all the elements which are important for the biosecurity of your laboratory or the facility. Then the last step is evaluation. So what you have to evaluate here? So once you do all these things, then you can evaluate potential for any misuse or potential consequences if something goes wrong here. Then this one should be done again and again. It's not a one-time job, because this one should be done time to time, and or can say it should be done on a regular basis. So if you are going to start a new project, or new project is to be implemented in your facility, so then you need to do the biosecurity risk assessment, and as a part of the organization's policy, time to time, periodically, you have to do the biosecurity risk assessment. Then at the same time, in line with the policy of the organization, you have to evaluate the organization's risk posture. So this one is very important, and you should also evaluate the protection objectives of the organization. It will depend on the nature of your R&D activities. However, for the organization, it's very important to make sure that the students are protected, staff is protected, supporting staff is protected, as well as surrounding community is protected, and environment is not getting contaminated. So for this purpose, this biosecurity risk assessment and effective and efficient implementation of your plan is very important for the safety of everybody. So to summarize, so for the biosecurity risk assessment, so these 5 steps: identifying, assessing, analyzing, designing and developing, and evaluating. So these 5 steps can be utilized, and bear in mind, you need to involve all the stakeholders in the process of biosecurity risk assessment, and at the same time, you have to make sure that all stakeholders are involved in its implementation program, because it's not a one person's job. So teams should be engaged in conducting the biosecurity risk assessment, and that implementation part should be also done by the whole team. And most importantly, the executive management of the organization should be fully supportive, and then this biosecurity risk management program will work without any problem. So take home message is we should not take biosafety and biosecurity lightly. However, so this I hope this video will be useful to you. So this one is specific to the biosecurity risk assessment, and if you want to do the risk assessment for the biosafety, that one should be done separately. Thank you very much for watching.